Well, greetings and welcome to this audio and videotape series. Today we'll be speaking about consciousness itself, the bridge to transcendental reality. Today we'll be looking at consciousness itself and how it plays into our ascension process. Consciousness itself, prior to all objects, gross and subtle, is the universal mind. It is universal mind, if you will. And when the mind is enlightened, the spirit or the soul's essence is free, and the body matters not. So it's my joy to express to you the certainty that universal mind is Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, Krishna consciousness, God consciousness, whatever you may choose to call this, is really just a consciousness that's free from the body. That is, free from gross and subtle objects. A mind that is enlightened is a mind that's been liberated, if you will, from the impermanent nature of conditional existence, which is to say, the activity arising in consciousness. Now, once you have located universal mind, which is consciousness itself, then once you've located consciousness itself, you have passed up all the books in all the metaphysical stores out there. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, once you've located consciousness itself, you have now moved forward beyond books. So once you've noticed the distinction between consciousness and the activity arising in consciousness, the only thing left to do is not necessarily to read another book, but the only thing left to do is to relax consciousness itself into the unified field of transcendental being, which is the divine state, our true self, our true nature. Divine being, consciousness being now a bridge between the form and divine being, reality itself. So, if you'll look at your monitor and your computer screen, you'll notice that the keyboards in front of you, the computer screen, this video, YouTube, is all appearing in your consciousness or consciousness itself. Now, when you notice that, you can easily locate consciousness itself. So really, it's just a matter of locating consciousness itself. And then so when I discovered this, then I realized what all the books were talking about, because there was a clear scene between consciousness and the activity arising in consciousness. And that's huge, ladies and gentlemen, because the activity is of form and the phenomenal existence, temporal, impermanent experiences are all arising in consciousness. And that would be everything. Everything is arising in consciousness. All the planets in the solar system, the Big Bang, Jesus, Shiva, Buddha, Krishna, Ascended Masters, whatever you want to, all of that is phenomenal, and it is all arising in consciousness. Your name and your form is arising in consciousness. Your parents appeared in consciousness. So once you've located consciousness itself, you're not so fascinated by any phenomena, high or low. No phenomena, high or low, is as fascinating. So when the mind is enlightened, that is to say, freed from all phenomena, yes, even spiritual phenomena, religion, rituals, forms, all of this is arising in one single mind. And when you've located the mind, then everything else loosens. You're free. You're no longer in bondage to objects, whether they be spiritual objects or worldly objects. It doesn't matter. Object is an object. There's no difference. Except some objects obviously point to consciousness itself, which I discovered that all the spiritual books and all my hours of study and metaphysical sessions, they were all pointing to consciousness itself. And when that was clearly seen, then there was no reliance or need for any of those as seeking tools. In other words, the seeker and the seeking we're all seen to be an illusion. Everything sought was an illusion. So what is the seeker? What is a spiritual seeker who goes just? The spiritual seeker is no different from the worldly seeker. The person seeking pleasure and seeking to avoid pain is no different from the spiritual or religious mind that is seeking enlightenment or trying to avoid unenlightenment. It's the same thing. The seeker is actually an activity. It is not an entity. The seeker is an activity arising in consciousness. Now, awareness or consciousness itself does not seek. What seeks is the mechanism of attention identifying itself with gross and subtle objects and then seeking to attain some sort of temporary relief from a sense of separateness. So that seeking itself is a contraction or a sense of separateness. And that's all seeking is. But the main point is that I realized when this, and I say I hesitantly because the I that realized these things was not the person. It was a greater awareness, a higher consciousness, a non-personal presence of my true self that realized that the seeker was only an activity in consciousness. And that activity is an unreality. That activity is contraction. That activity is a motivation by uncertainty and uneasiness. It's not an entity. There's no such thing, in other words, as a seeker. So seeking, the sought, and the seeker itself was transcended through the realization of I am, consciousness itself. I am is consciousness itself. But consciousness itself is not the end. It's just the beginning. Now you have located consciousness itself, the computer, the keyboards, and everything, all phenomena in your room, all your experiences, all your memories is arising in consciousness itself. And now the only thing left to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to relax consciousness itself into the unified field of transcendental being. That is to say, your true nature, your divine state. So allow consciousness itself, which is your awareness, allow it to relax into your true state, the one state, the divine state. And allow your awareness to be loosened from all gross and subtle objects, body and mind. Now, when I say mind, I'm not referring to the mental aspect of thought. I'm referring to the consciousness aspect of awareness. So now allow that conscious awareness to be relaxed and loosened from all gross and subtle objects so that it may be submitted into the unified field of transcendental divine being. Now, remember that the consciousness or the awareness of any problem does not have a problem. That's right. The awareness of a question does not have a question. The consciousness of a problem does not have a problem. Universal mind is always already free from all conditional existence, from all temporal, impermanent forms. That samsara, suffering, is identifying with the form. Identifying with the form is suffering. It is samsara. So to help you get across this ocean of samsara, I want to share with you my certainty that you are always already free. Thank you.